Guillermo Mash here for the March 21st edition of the Without a Roof radio program. And huge distinct pleasure to have a friend and colleague of mine, Cathleen Williams, dialing in from Sacramento Homeless Organizing Committee. And we're going to do a conversation here around the Poor People's Campaign and how that's coming to Sacramento and the North State. Welcome to KCFR, Cathleen Williams.
Thank you, Bill Mash. And just a reminder that the Sacramento Homeless Organizing Committee is the kind of political center of homeless organizing in Sacramento, in the sense that we meet every week, we exchange information, we alert people to what is coming up. So what we're looking at with the Poor People's Campaign and the Sacramento Homeless Organizing Committee is part of that campaign, SHOC, as we call it. This is a national call for moral revival, and there's a lot of videos and other kinds of information on the web. If you put in poorpeoplescampaign.org or Poor People's Campaign, a national call for moral revival, you will be caught up on this national launch that is continuing the vision of Dr. Martin Luther King, who, as you will recall, was assassinated in April, actually just 50 years ago. Before he was assassinated, he launched the Poor People's Campaign that came to Washington and brought tens of thousands of people to lobby and to publicize the kinds of poverty that were prevalent in the country in 1968. And of course, in 2018, the situation has become even more urgent. In 1968, we didn't have the homelessness. We had regions of the country that were stricken with the most dire poverty, but it has now gotten to the point that some 47% of the people of this country are at or near the poverty level, the federally defined poverty standard, which is about $10,000 a year for one person. We also have a new category of poverty called dire poverty, where people are living on a couple of dollars a day. And there's several million people in that category, if you can believe it, in this country. So what is the Poor People's Campaign is launching is on May 13th, which is Mother's Day, starting that Monday, which is the 14th, we will be coordinating nationwide what we call National Direct Moral Action, Nonviolent Direct Moral Action. And we haven't fully explored or defined what form this will take, but it will definitely take congregating at the various state capitals to bring the public's attention and to change the narrative as it relates to poverty and the kind of damage that it is doing to communities, to families, and to individuals. So the first week, May 13th through 19th, will focus on suffering people through examples and statistics. We will certainly include mothers and children as well as the disabled, but we will also address the abandonment and neglect of the mentally ill, the victimization of LGBTQ individuals and families, and of course homelessness, the veterans, isolated seniors, detainees, Native Americans. We're really going to bring forward the stories of the people that have been suffering on a scale that most people can't even imagine, in terms of evictions, low-wage jobs, of denial of services and shelter. So that'll be the first week. The second week will be focusing on systemic racism, voter suppression, police procedures, police murders, the criminal justice system, access to quality education and housing, immigration policies and enforcement, and the incitement or toleration of hate speech and discrimination. So we're going to be looking at the connection between systemic racism and systemic poverty. May 27th through June 2nd, which will include Memorial Day, we will be bringing to light through our actions at the state capitol the military economy, the imbalance between military and social programs, war fatalities, the long-term impact on our veterans, and the way that violence has permeated and penetrated our society and culture. Then the following weeks, there's 3 more weeks, June 19th, we'll be looking at ecological devastation, climate change, air pollution, the contamination of water, land control, soil preservation, and we're going to tie in healthcare to that because a healthy ecology has so much to do with a healthy community and healthy individuals. So the next week is the right to live with human dignity. That's June 10th through 16th. And we'll be exposing the need for jobs that provide a living wage and fair working conditions, food, housing, education. The whole idea that our communities are responsive to the conditions that individuals have been forced to live, where they're living outside or constantly under stress from low wages. And then the final week of nonviolent action, moral action, will address the distorted moral narrative, and that's happening June 17th through the 23rd. The hijacking of moral imperatives by groups who focus on narrow issues, often in the name of religious beliefs or false nationalism. The need to expand social programs to heal those who have been hurt, with advocacy to remove the causes of injury, deprivation, and discrimination. So what we're working for is a moral fusion of all these issues so that they're not, pushed separately, say, by some well-founded nonprofit that decides that this is the year, for example, that we've got to relieve people of the need to pay thousands of dollars for bail. That issue does not stand alone. That issue stands with mass incarceration. Why are we using jails to lock up poor people who can't afford jail? So this is like a deeper way that we're addressing what I think so many of us perceive as a crisis in this country. So the Poor People's Campaign, you can go online, of course, under Poor People's Campaign, a national call for moral revival. There's many examples on YouTube of our leaders, Dr. William Barber III and Liz Theoharis of the Episcopal Church, who's based in New York. So they are our religious leaders, and we're especially calling for all those good people in the faith community to begin to stand up for the poor.